What is up, guys? We're going to be finishing up the LG G8 comparisons, and we're going to be starting with the Note 8 Pro. So this is a $200 smartphone. Sometimes the price will fluctuate, so be sure to watch that. But I got it for around $215. Right now, I think it might be at $250 or $230. But like I said, it fluctuates all the time, like literally every week. And the G8 right now is $260. Right now, links will be down below to check those out. So starting with the hardware on both, you have a premium design on both these guys, and just a very nice and solid feeling phones, glass and metal on both these guys. Not on the Note 8 Pro. This railing is actually plastic, but this is glass and this is metal right here on the camera. So the G8 has a dual camera setup, which we will get into, fingerprint scanner, LG branding, flash, and you actually have a quad camera setup on the Note 8 Pro with the fingerprint scanner right here, and you also have little Redmi branding as well. And then you turn it to the side. On the Note 8 Pro, you have your power button, volume rockers, and then on the G8 you just have your power button side, you have your volume rockers and your Google Assistant button. If you come down below, you have the headphone jack on both, USB Type-C, and you also have one single firing speaker on. Now let's talk about the displays on both of these guys. So on the G8 you have a smaller 6.1 inch display. It's a 1440p display, P OLED, and it is an always on display, and it's a very nice 564 for the PPI, very sharp, very nice display. You do have that notch at the top, and it is much bigger than the water drop notch on the Note 8 Pro. So if you're into media consumption, the Note 8 Pro is probably the phone you might want to look at. But like I said, it is a higher resolution and higher PPI. It just comes down to you and the notch. On the Note 8 Pro, you have the IPS display. It's 6.53 inches. It's also a much bigger display. As we can see, 1080p display, 395 for the PPI. And it's a nice display for what it is. It gives out some pretty good colors. The G8 is definitely more color accurate and just overall better display here. You do have that always on function as well, which is nice. So for media consumption, it really comes down to, do you want a bigger display or do you want a high res display with the little notch in it? As you can see, it's much bigger than Note 8 Pro. So it just comes down to personal preference here. Now you're running Android 9 with MIUI 11 on the Note 8 Pro. You will get the Android 10 update. You do have the Helio G90T processor and the Mali G76 GPU, micro SD support, 64 gigs of internal storage, and 6 gigs of RAM. So on the G8, you actually have Android 10 with the LG UX 9.0 skin, Snapdragon 855. You also have the Adreno 640 micro SD support, and this one comes with 128 gigs of storage and 6 gigs of RAM. So they have the same amount of RAM. Yeah, you have expandable storage. The Snapdragon 855 is definitely going to be the superior processor. But what's interesting about both of these phones is that you can actually play games on high on both these phones. The G90T is more than capable of playing PUBG, Fortnite, Call of Duty on high settings. So it's very impressive what this processor can do at this budget price point. And like I said, as for the G8, you're pretty much going to be able to play everything maxed out on high as well. So it really comes down to, again, the display and how you want to play if you're a gamer. I think most gamers would probably want a bigger display here. So, the Note 8 Pro is probably the one you might want to go for if you do want to game. Now both phones have unique features, like the G8 has the quad DAC on here, so if you're really into audio, the G8 is definitely the way to go. And on the Note 8 Pro, you actually have a really cool infrared port, so if you're into controlling stuff with your smartphone, you do have that port on there. So they both come with NFC as well, so you have those mobile payments on here. So they're definitely feature packed. You're not really missing a whole bunch. As far as the fingerprint scanner and getting into the phone, they're both very fast. The physical fingerprint scanners are pretty good. As you can see, boom, boom, very fast, instant. You have face unlock on both of these guys as well, which works very great. And then on the G8, you actually have the palm unlock. So if your hands are tied up and you just need to unlock your phone, you can just put your hand over the camera and it'll unlock your phone. You can go ahead and do that. You also have these swipe gestures, which I'm not a big fan of. They don't work really great for me so far, and I never really use them, but they do have those there if you're really into gestures. All right, let's go ahead and check out the speaker on both as well, see which one is louder. They sound about the same, really, so it's not really a big difference here, actually. So as far as speed, you're not going to notice a big difference when launching games and stuff like that. These phones are actually pretty fast. So the Snapdragon 855 should be slightly faster, but like I said, the G90T is not really a slow processor. It's actually very good, very comparable. Let's try the camera app. 3, 2, 1. Let's try settings. 3, 2, 1. So as you can see, both phones very fast. When you're launching games, the 855 is going to be, slightly faster than the G90T, especially when launching heavy games as well. Alright, so let's talk about the camera. So on the Note 8 Pro, like I said, you have a quad camera setup, 64 megapixel wide, 8 megapixel ultra wide, a 2 megapixel macro sensor, so that means you get to zoom in on close shots, which is very fun, and a 2 megapixel depth sensor, 2160p video, 30 fps, front facing camera, 20 megapixels, 1080p, and that is on the Note 8 Pro. So on the G8, you have a dual camera setup, 16 megapixel ultra wide and a 12 megapixel standard. You also can shoot in 2160p at 60 frames per second. An 8 megapixel selfie camera. It is a wide camera, shoots in 1080p as well. Alright, so both of these cameras take really good photos. Like I said, you have the macro camera on the Note 8 Pro, but for overall photos, I'm going with the G8 because it takes cleaner photos. Definitely in point and shoot scenarios, as we can see right here. Same point and shoot, and as you can see, not as crisp and clear as the G8 here, and it's the same thing with the Funko Pop here. The G8 color science is better, as you can see. Just a cleaner, just more color accurate photo here. So the G8 is definitely the better camera here, but it depends on what kind of photos you're taking. If you want to take a lot of macro, then obviously you're going to get the G8. It has that macro function, but they both take 4K video, which is great. But for overall shots, I'm still going with the G8. Just really good dynamic range, color accuracy is on point. In a point and shoot scenario, you're going to get cleaner photos on the G8. I've been testing it out, and you're just going to get cleaner photos all the time. Here again, we zoom in, as you can see, crystal clear photo on the G8. The Note 8 Pro is just not as sharp, even though that sensor is a higher megapixel sensor. But like I tell people, it's not always about megapixels. It has a lot more technology that goes into this stuff. Image processing is just more than megapixels and stuff. So as you can see, lower megapixels but cleaner and better looking shot. So better camera, G8, pretty easy. Now for battery life on the G8, you have a 3500 milliamp battery, wireless charging as well at 9 watts and 21 watt fast charging. So this is going to be a pretty good battery performer. You're looking at around 8 to 9 hours of screen on time, depending on if you're a light user. And on the Note 8 Pro, you have a 4500 milliamp battery, 18 watt fast charging, no wireless charging on this guy, but you get around 7 to 8 hours of screen on time. So good battery life on both phones. You'll be able to make it through the day, absolutely no problem. But like I said, you have that wireless charging, which if you haven't used wireless charging, it's extremely convenient, and it's definitely missed on the Note 8 Pro. But for $260 right now, the G8 is really hard to beat when it's going up against even one of the best, $200 budget phones that you can buy. It's just really hard to beat as a flagship phone. It's IP rated as well, which a Pro is not, so you can get this guy wet and not be scared that it's going to break. If it was me, I probably would most likely go with the G8. It's just an overall better phone. It's just a better deal at this price point. I really like the Note 8 Pro when it's at that $200 solid price point. So if you don't want to pay that extra $60 to get the G8, you'll be perfectly happy with this. But if you want those better cameras and you want that high res display, then pay the little extra money. But definitely when you see this for like $215, this is an absolute steal. Right now it's like $230, or not $230, it might be $250, $215, $230. Definite steal. So what do you guys think? Which one are you guys going with? Be sure to let me know, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.